For tonight's episode, we are doing our part to bring the Kinergy to our friends from another planet. Welcome, aliens! What is going on, everyone? We are the Cinefanatics. My name is Robert Adams.
I'm Chris Adams.
And it is the Tagline, the show where the tagline is the title. Wednesday night, it's time to talk about some movie news that isn't probably coming anymore. We'll talk about why here in a little bit. How is everyone doing tonight? How is everyone out there in YouTube world? I do see Nerd and Jeremy in the chat. Thank y'all for being here, fellas. We appreciate y'all being here. As we get started, who else is here? Sound off in the chat. Let us know. Whew, it's been a fun week. It has been an important historical week for Hollywood. I feel like this whole past week has been both a good, positive, and a super awful side to Hollywood.
I feel like it's been an important historical week. No, not the fact that we probably have aliens here or that Elon Musk completely changed Twitter over to a new website. We're talking about there being a Barbie movie and Oppenheimer.
Yeah. And then, of course, there's also still what's going on with the strikes and stuff. Just, yeah, it's gonna be kind of interesting with this. So before we get into it, y'all know the YouTube things. Y'all got any questions, comments, issues, complaints? You have a good onion ring recipe that you want to send me because I'm game. Streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. Let us know, and if it is a good onion rings recipe, I will definitely shout that out because who doesn't like a good onion ring? I'm telling you. But yeah, streamlabs.com/cinefanatics. That'd be great. Thank y'all very much. Also, patreon.com/cinefanatics. If you feel that we are worthy of your support and you have the means, please hop on the tier that is good for you. Should be easy. There's only two. So as of starting this month, there is only two tiers. There's a $1 and a $5 tier. All the benefits that we typically have every month on our Patreon is now you can get at the $5 tier. $1 tier gets you access to the Discord. $5 tier gets you access to all the stuff we're doing. Which, speaking of which, I can't word yet. Speaking of which, tonight after the tagline, yeah, did you say ever?
Yeah,
you bastard. After tagline tonight, we will be doing our movie trivia hangout. It is going to be Christopher Nolan trivia since Oppenheimer came out, and there really isn't any other Barbie movies. It doesn't make sense to do something about Barbie, so we'll do something about Christopher Nolan again.
No, there are other Barbie movies. We're just not going to do trivia over them.
Yeah, we're not going to do direct to DVD or VHS Barbie movie trivia because I'm going to be honest, I haven't watched any of them.
What is the princess? The Barbie, the Swan Princess. What is the animal that princess is named after?
Natalie Portman.
All right, good night, everybody.
Lego's like, wait, we're cooking? I like cooking. Yeah, cooking's fun. I very much enjoy cooking. Anyway, so yeah, there is Christopher Nolan trivia tonight. So if you feel like you have a good idea of Christopher Nolan movies, hop on that $5 tier. Come join us in the voice chat on the Discord. That is going to be tonight at 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. So a little after tagline is done tonight.
I love me some Christopher Nolan. You need to come prove yourself against me.
I would challenge and say yeah, I want to see you take me on Christopher Nolan as well, except I'm the one who wrote all the questions, so I already know the answers.
Also, you just saw Interstellar for the first time.
Yeah, so any Interstellar questions I'm probably going to get because it's fresh and recent, and I know.
That's not what I'm referring to.
Oh, that I did. I'm not a huge fan because I hadn't had it watched already.
I'm gatekeeping.
Oh, yeah, good job there.
You're not a true Nolan fan.
Also, real quick, since we're talking about the Patreon, Nerd is throwing this offer out there. If anyone would like to be a Patreon and doesn't want to pay, I'm willing to sponsor 3 people for 3 months at the $5 level. So let me know if you're wanting that for August. So yeah, someone let Nerd know. So find me in the Discord or Twitter or X or whatever it is. Yeah. Speaking of which, they released that poster or that image for Saw X, which looks really weird. I'm guessing like he's got like tubes coming out of his eyes and they cross into an X.
Just pass.
I'm guessing they're sucking out eyeballs in this next one. I don't know. It takes place between Saw 1 and 2, which sounds just the worst.
Oh, so we're merging this into the Fast and Furious universe, where the third one technically takes place after the sixth one and somewhere during the seventh one.
Yeah, but the thing is, the Fast and Furious movies, while they are huge and very vast in their storytelling, they're nowhere near as convoluted as the Saw movies. Yeah, they're convoluted, I'll give you that, but they're nowhere close to Saw.
Speaking of X, I don't think we're going to change that anytime soon, because I don't want to.
Yeah, I kind of don't want to either. That's all I say. Like, they can change it to X all. Like, Elon can change it to X all he wants. So I have a feeling the general public is still just going to refer to it as Twitter. We're so used to words like Twitter and tweeting, tweets, all of that stuff that I don't think that's going to leave the lexicon of like pop culture for a while.
Especially because I have no idea how they want me to pronounce XEET for their version of tweeting.
I'm zeeting.
You're zeeting. That
zeeting.
Sounds like something you shouldn't be doing with other people on the internet.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I guess you could, but
it's not something you want your parents to see.
Just not on that website.
Yeah.
Well, actually, no, you could on that website too. Oh well.
Anyways, so yeah, Christopher Nolan trivia tonight. That's going to be a lot of fun. This coming Saturday, the 29th, we will be doing our movie watch along. We're just going to continue our watch alongs through the Marvel Cinematic Universe. We'll do Ant-Man. I don't think we've done Ant-Man yet, and it sounds like fun. And yeah, I'm kind of eager to watch Ant-Man again. It's been a while, so that will be this Saturday at 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. Again, if you are on our Patreon, just join us in the voice chat on Discord, and especially if you are subscribed to Disney Plus. We may do the group watch along again, because that seems to work very well for Disney. So
I was trying to start humming the Ant-Man theme there, dun, 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 but it started sounding like clocks from Coldplay, so I stopped.
I would hum the Ant-Man theme. I don't know what it is off the top of my head. That's not been like the most powerful theme in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, so it eludes me as to how that theme goes.
Bam, 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 bam. Whatever. If I keep going, it's going to sound like clocks.
Yeah, so we're going to
starts going directly to clocks.
We're going to get a copyright strike from Coldplay.
Did I say clocks? No, I'm just kidding. That's Viva La Vida. What the hell?
Oh, so then that means we're going to get a copyright strike from Joe Satriani for that. Exactly.
Yep. Nailed it.
Those of y'all who know what the story behind that was a good joke. It's a good joke. Just saying. Anyways, yeah, Ant-Man watch along on Saturday. Upcoming shows that we are doing this coming Friday. We will also be doing the Marquee Direct Tiers. We are going to be tier ranking all of Christopher Nolan's movies from 1998 following through this year's Oppenheimer. So yeah, come join us for that, tier ranking all of those movies. That should be a lot of fun. I don't know if there's going to be like some controversial takes on this. Like, I'm pretty confident in like the ones I know I want to put in F tier. I don't think that's going to be too controversial. I don't know. Depends on like who's all watching, because I think what's going to be controversial is what we put probably in B and C, and then how high we put certain movies. Yeah. So that's what I'm looking at possibly. So that should be a lot of fun. That will be this coming Friday, the 28th, 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. So yeah, come check that out. This one, since it's going to be just the two of us on it, that means that the chat can participate. So catch up on your Nolan movies real quick. Come join us in the chat. You can vote and have your say on where you think it should go as well. Okay. Yeah, got it. That sounds familiar. Okay. Anyways, what movies have you watched over this past week? I know the two of us, we went and did the Barbenheimer double feature this past Thursday. We had our friend of the channel, ex-Son Fanatic, Torie Rose, come visit us here in Austin, Texas, and the three of us went to go do Barbenheimer. What a long day.
That was 5 hours. That's actually more than 5 hours because I think we had like an hour and a half between the two movies. Yeah. So 5, 6.5, almost 7 hours in the theater, roughly.
That hour and a half between the movies was crucial.
Yeah.
Nice, like without that, if we had gone straight from Barbie to Oppenheimer, like that was just and I think that we'll talk some more about this here in a little bit, but I think it's because Oppenheimer obviously is a very heady movie. It works a lot more, kind of like what we said in the review, if you know the history of Oppenheimer and how like everything with the Manhattan Project actually worked. It was probably a lot more approachable for you. Hi, Torie. Speaking of. But like after the social messages that Barbie laid upon us for like an hour and 45 minutes or so, which felt really short compared to Oppenheimer now. After those messages, taking that hour and a half break in between the movies, I feel like was just the perfect like reset before going into something as big as Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
So
absolutely.
So that's the two major movies. I did also sit down and decide to watch Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. I mean, it's not a good movie. It had a good idea. It had a good premise to it. Just the execution was just terrible. Like they just straight up bought like Halloween masks off some like scary mask website or whatever, and that was what they used for the killers of Pooh and Piglet. So the acting was kind of the scripting was very and just so wasn't that good of a movie, I would say. Anyways, I think it's time to move on to movie news. Let's talk about some movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, good evening. This is what's happening in your world tonight.
We apologize for the interruption.
Back to you.
The news tonight's a little wonky because we're actually pretty much going to do our main topic first, I think. Given that it has absolutely everything to do with the box office. And we're going to pull up some other numbers here on Box Office Mojo because we're going to be talking about stuff other than just the weekend. But let us first talk about the weekend box office because it is everything. It is everything.
I like the chef's kiss.
It is everything. A lot happened this last weekend. A lot. Just so much happened this last weekend. All of the hand gestures.
All of the chef kisses all over the place.
So we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this box office. I'm actually gonna do this backwards because we know what number 1 and number 2 are. So we're gonna kind of land on those, ending up on those. Let's start backwards though. Just cover some of where the rest of the box office landed this last weekend. Also, kind of looking at the numbers of everything else and kind of amazed that anything else did over $1 million this last weekend. So we'll take a look here. Number 10, we've got that Jennifer Lawrence movie, No Hard Feelings. It is at 1,085,000. So 5 weeks in, it did over $1 million worth of business in the same weekend as Barbie and Oppenheimer, which I think what we're gonna realize going through this is that there are more people wanting to see movies than there are screens and seats for the big movies coming out every weekend. And it just really depends on, what the movie is, how it's marketed, how it's presented in front of people. Because any of these movies making over $1 million means, in my mind, that people couldn't find seats for either Barbie or Oppenheimer. And I think that's kind of the win condition for Mission Impossible still going into its second week is they were kind of hoping for a little bit of some people won't be able to get into Barbie or Oppenheimer, so hopefully they come and hang out and watch our movie. But number 9 is Transformers: Rise of the Beasts. Number 8, Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, still hanging in there with 2.8 million. So not too bad for its 8th week. Number 7, we've got Elemental with another 5.7 million. Number 6, we got Insidious: The Red Door. I believe it's in its 3rd week, so it's not fantastic for it. But again, going up against some big movies coming out there, it's it's probably the best it was going to do. Especially with I think it's not getting the greatest word of mouth as far as I'm aware. So number 5, we've got Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny. Number 4, you would think it would be another movie, but actually number 4 is Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1. You would think Mission Impossible would have been number 3, and I would have thought that too. But number 3 is Sound of Freedom. Which is interesting because again it's in its 3rd week, so hanging out at number 3 in its 3rd week. The movie's doing great. Reasoning aside, good for them, I guess. The fact of the matter is, though, Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning Part 1, this is kind of a bummer for them because again, the question lies in the brain power of whoever decided at Paramount to go ahead and release that movie before Barbie and Oppenheimer. Did they even really contemplate or realize how big of an event Barbenheimer was going to be?
I'm wondering, exactly what is the thinking behind those? Not just for the example that you're talking about, but just in general. How is it that someone can lay a stake, basically, plant a flag in a weekend and say, I'm the tentpole film, and then another film has to decide whether they want to challenge it or if they want to come out the same weekend, knowing that, like in the case of Barbenheimer, the two films competing together could potentially be actually competing together. Now, granted, Barbie and Oppenheimer, 2 wildly different films that may be catering to 2 completely separate groups of people. Mm-hmm. As we were saying before, when we went to Barbie, there weren't very many men in our showing of Barbie that we could see. There were plenty of people of all genders, of all genders in Oppenheimer. So, I mean, really can't tell what exactly the demographic was for those. It's just really weird how that turned out. Yeah. But yeah, I don't know, did Mission Impossible plant their flag on that weekend first and then Oppenheimer and Barbie claimed it? Or
it is possible.
How did that actually work out? And then I want to know that, and then I can start trying to read or decipher what the actual game plan was for that.
Because I think then once you start looking at that, they decide to go the week after Mission Impossible. Then at that point, if I was Paramount, as we get closer, before we release tickets and everything, I would be thinking about, okay, should we still release it here? Should we push it ahead? And then at that point, you're thinking, depending on where the strike negotiation talks were at with SAG and everything, you're thinking, okay, well, then we got to think about if SAG goes on strike, we don't have the use of any actors for promotional stuff. And we've got a very actor-driven action movie in Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning with a lot of big stars who would be great to have on the promotional circuit. So with that coming up, we might not be able to use them if we push it ahead. So I don't know what we do. I like what Nerd said in here that I should have released it on 4th of July. This is a hindsight thing, I believe, though. Obviously, hindsight wise, I think we could all agree that would probably been best. It would have given Mission Impossible 2 weeks to dominate the box office. But as Nerd mentioned here, they would have gotten 2nd week Indiana Jones, and that's it. That is a hindsight reasoning, because if you're thinking about the tried and true character of Indiana Jones, regardless of how the 4th movie did or what have you, it's Harrison Ford's last outing as the character. It's big, it's huge, it's Indiana Jones. He is a classic box office, big blockbuster film. And theoretically, from the minds of Paramount, they're not going to want to try to take the 2nd weekend of Indiana Jones because they're looking ahead and thinking Indiana Jones is going to be big. If we go 3rd week after Indiana Jones, then we're going to be okay. because, we don't know the numbers that Indiana Jones is going to put up. Now, it turns out Indiana Jones didn't do so hot. It wasn't doing so great. And so that's what I'm saying. Hindsight, yeah, they would have been fine if they did the July 4th week. But we don't know. We wouldn't know that, and they would only have to go off of the idea that Indiana Jones is just a brand household name. So,
yeah. The other thing you can't really also predict is going to be that repeat business.
Mhm.
For example, I don't think I've heard of a few people who have seen Indiana Jones multiple times, but not as much as I'm hearing for like Barbie, for example. Or how many people, if you think back, how many people or how prevalent was it that you heard of people going and rewatching Titanic when it first came out in 97, for those of y'all who were alive at that time? The Dark Knight when it came out in 2008. Like, those are movies that had significant rewatches. Avatar in 2009. People went back again and again in the theater specifically for those massive movies. And Barbie, I'm going to say now, Barbie is going to be one of those that's going to be included in the same grouping as those three movies that I just mentioned. Barbie will be a part of that club easily. But I'm not seeing that like on the Indiana Jones, Dial of Destiny. Very likely not getting that for Mission Impossible either, just because, again, coming out the week before Barbenheimer. Yeah. But also, I don't know how many people are really like invested in wanting to go back and watch Oppenheimer again. I know for me, I'm not going to watch it again until I can watch it at home, pause it, go grab some food, go to the bathroom, read up on Wikipedia about any plot point that I was a little confused about to get some clarification, so I can have a more well-rounded opinion exactly of how well Oppenheimer was made.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm not into going back to the theater to see Oppenheimer. I would be into going back and seeing Barbie again, but I think that's just also like Barbie's just such a more digestible movie than Oppenheimer is for a myriad of reasons.
Yeah.
So real quick before we do number one, number two, Torie was asking, where's Cobweb at? That's an excellent question.
It's not on there.
It's not on here.
Cobweb is it's only getting a limited US release.
I don't even think it's like a regular limited release, because Box Office Mojo only shows numbers for Croatia right now. There's no domestic release showing for Cobweb at all on the website.
Yeah. So, for example, the movie of Cobweb in the Austin, Texas area is only playing at one theater, and it is not an Alamo Drafthouse. Usually a movie like that would, if it was only going to be playing at one theater in Austin, it would be at one of the Alamo Drafthouses. And probably the one at South Lamar is usually the most popular go-to for those kinds of movies. It's not. It's playing at some random ass Cinemark, like right outside of Austin in Pflugerville. So,
crazy.
Yeah.
There's just not enough screen. I guess there's just not enough data on it, even in a limited fashion, to be able to report anything on it quite yet. So,
I eagerly want to see it though. Like the first thing I've heard about it, of course, was William Bibbiani talking about it on Twitter. I saw that while Torie was here, and both me and Torie were like, this sounds interesting, because if Bibbs is recommending a movie, I kind of want to see it. And then I've just seen more and more people on social media talking about like how good it is, and how like people, it's just flying under the radar because it's being trampled by Barbenheimer. So, I definitely want to see it. I'm contemplating whether or not I want to make the drive out to the theater to go see it tomorrow, possibly. I know there's also that Talk to Me horror movie that's coming out, I think, next week. And that one seems to be getting some good word of mouth as well, even though it's just really weird looking. And I'm not exactly sure what the plot is, but I'm going to be open to see that if it continues to get the positivity that I'm seeing so far.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of room coming up also for, say, like Mission Impossible to still make its money. It's got plenty of time. There's not a whole lot of movies coming out that are going to steal its audience per se necessarily. There's a lot of other films coming out that are going to be good counter programming for it, but with Haunted Mansion coming up, and then Ninja Turtles, the closest I would say in audience stealing would be like Blue Beetle, but that thing is not being projected to get very high at all. In fact, it's being projected right now to be a really solid flop, which is a bummer because, as a character that they're kind of stating to be the first one out for the new DC universe, so to speak. And, for the representation that film brings into the superhero landscape, you really would hope that they would do something more with that. But I think that movie just got plagued with just all of the issues that Warner Brothers has in regards to anything DC related. Just people don't care about DC right now because Warner Brothers just squandered their DC basket from the very beginning and trying to rush and push things and making the wrong choices. So I don't think we're gonna see too high for Blue Beetle, which is unfortunate.
I have a feeling Blue Beetle's gonna make Flash look like Barbie, which is a weird comparison to say, but yeah. So look at the DC movies we've gotten so far this year. Shazam! Fury of the Gods, which was a sequel to a movie that was pretty well received. It tanked. No one liked it. Then you got Flash that tanked for a couple of different reasons, primarily probably again because it was still part of the old DCEU. Nobody cares. And then the Ezra Miller of it all, whatever. Something in there is causing that to tank. Now we've got this character of Blue Beetle that general audiences have no idea who this character is. Comic book fans have heard of him at least. And then, of course, you got your diehard Blue Beetle fans that are going to go out in droves to go see this. But yeah, I don't think that's going to save it. The Flash is a very known quantity character. Flash is one of the major characters for DC Comics. So I don't think Blue Beetle's gonna get that high just based off of that alone.
No, and then also
don't look that good.
Also because that movie of any of other comic book movies out right now or coming out is going to suffer the most from not being able to do any great promotional material with their cast. That is going to absolutely throttle that movie. Because you would have Zolo coming out here advertising it as he's playing Blue Beetle, as he's playing Jaime. You got George Lopez, who you would want on the promotional circuits. The man is a funny comedian,
I know, huh? Or what's he say? He's like, I know, right? Or I know, huh?
That's good. That's good content. That's great content. You don't have that option anymore. There's just a lot that they could have done for this movie, and it's unfortunately the times that we're in and everything. It's just gonna completely flop, and that's very unfortunate for it. But that's a side note to everything. Nerd asked us if we're excited for Haunted Mansion. Not really. So much so that I'm pretty resigned to just waiting for it to hit Disney Plus, and I'll watch it there. I'm not gonna go out of my way to go see it.
Yeah, it's just there's been so much going on lately that we're really having to just kind of pick and choose. I'm going to be honest, while I'm happy to provide everything that we're doing, that Cinefanatics is doing this week, I do have some immediate plans for some stuff I'm wanting to do after this week is over. I'm having to wait for all this other stuff to get done so I can tackle some other stuff I want to do. One of the things I wanted to do was kind of do a little bit of redesign on some stuff. So y'all see the new background I have behind me, because I'm just sick and tired of plain apartment walls that I can't paint. So got that taken care of. And there's more stuff I want to do as well. So waiting for this week to end so I can move on to more content.
Yeah.
Jeremy Miller actually brought something else up too. Kind of go back real quick, talking about the horror movies coming up. He said, like the Raka Raka guys, so I'm interested. They're the ones that are making that Talk to Me movie. And that reminded me, we have been seeing lately, over the past couple of years now, horror movies that are being made by people who are primarily known for comedy. Of course, Jordan Peele being the standout on that. And then you also had, what's his name? I think he was from the Whitest Kids You Know, that he did, Zach Kreger? He did Barbarian, which got a lot of good reviews. And now we've got the Raka Raka guys doing taught to me, which is getting good reviews so far. So I'm kind of liking this this weird like horror renaissance we get of people who are known primarily for comedic works coming over and doing horror movies. Like I want to see Tim Robinson from that what's that Netflix show called? I keep forgetting the name of it.
Exactly.
Yeah. I mean, he's doing a phenomenal job over there. I hear nothing but praises about that show. But yeah, I want to see him do a horror movie now.
Exactly. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway, let's get to your number 2 and number 1. This is the big thing that everyone was talking about this weekend was Barbenheimer. That is Barbie and Oppenheimer. Which one's number 1? Which one is number 2?
I thought he was telling me to leave because I couldn't remember the name of the show. That's the name of the show. I think you should leave.
Exactly. Maybe one day we'll get a Cinephilex A24 movie. Probably not. I currently have no desire to make a movie.
I do. I want to make a movie. That sounds like fun.
In that regard. Anyway, who knows? I mean, things could change over time. But number 1, obviously, goes without saying, it's Barbie. Barbie is the number 1 movie this weekend. Number 2 is Oppenheimer. And then I think if you're looking at the data, you're looking at the analysis of it all, I think it makes the most sense. Obviously, Barbie's PG-13 is going to cater to a wider audience, and Oppenheimer being a rated R biopic that is 3 hours long. It's just the 3 hour long of it all, honestly, is what really limits it from being able to be shown at the max number of showtimes possible. Like us, on the day that we went, it only had the one showing on that Thursday, and it was at that time.
Well, originally when I bought the tickets, they only had the one showing. They added like 2 other showings since then. Because
Yeah.
I guess that first showing that we went to, they sold out, and that theater was like, okay, crap, we need to do some more showings.
So that's the situation that Oppenheimer found itself in, was they would only add more showings if the first showing sold out and the theaters had the screens to give to it, basically. Which is what led Oppenheimer basically to getting number 2. I think going in, anybody who was in the film industry, between Greta Gerwig and the crew over at Barbie and Christopher Nolan and the crew over at Oppenheimer, I think everybody was realizing that, as long as the movies are good and people want to see them, it was very likely that Oppenheimer was going to just firmly land at that number 2 spot. If I were a betting man, I would bet that Christopher Nolan was perfectly fine with that, understanding the situation they were going into.
I think Torie's correct here, because Oppenheimer, while it is a historical biopic, I wouldn't say that everyone is very familiar with who J. Robert Oppenheimer is. That's just not, when you're talking about having conversations with random people about history and stuff, Oppenheimer's not really the first thing people want to talk about or choose to talk about. So it's just a really random historical biopic. And I agree. I think that a lot of people had their heart set on seeing Barbie. Their showings were sold out. They weren't able to get it. And so they quickly pivoted and went to go see Oppenheimer instead. And that's what elevated Oppenheimer, which is funny when you think about, obviously this weekend was a fight between them because of Nolan's history with Warner Brothers, who then decided to release Barbie on the same day Nolan's trying to release Oppenheimer. With
you can't prove anything.
Can't prove it. It's really funny though. It like on paper, it sounds hilarious. But the fact that there's a very good chance that Warner Brothers and Barbie actually possibly ended up helping Oppenheimer. Unfortunately, we'll have to go travel the multiverse to see if there's a world in which Oppenheimer was released on a weekend without Barbie, and then see how those numbers were. But we won't know that, and there's no way of actually really proving that aside from just speculation. But yeah, I bet that was going to be fun. Like that is a great. People are like, I want to see one of these movies at least. People are going to be talking about both of these movies around the water cooler on Friday or after the weekend. I need to go see at least one of them so I'm in the know. So if you couldn't do Barbie, you did Oppenheimer.
That is, Torie, that's not as controversial a take as you think it is. I think it's 100% true. I think I think honestly, if I were to put it out there, I'm thinking that is the primary reason why at least Oppenheimer didn't move its date, because I think once the word of mouth got around about the event of seeing both Barbie and Oppenheimer on the same day and the same weekend, what have you, the event behind it, the fact that everybody and their mother, even outside of the internet, people in the day-to-day life who don't spend their time talking about film or anything, everybody was aware of Barbenheimer. It was an event to watch those two movies in some capacity together during that weekend. And yeah, I think that that's going to be one of the biggest things that I think, if we look back on it years down the road, I think this weekend is going to prove to be one of the most pivotal weekends that Hollywood is going to be looking towards and trying to figure out how to replicate for years and decades to come.
Let's play something fun real quick here, because I see a lot of people are talking about also the fact, Mike Deacon saying that Barbie's making more on Monday and Tuesday, more than movies like Indy, Mission Impossible, and Transformers made on their Saturday. So I just pulled up the theater that we went to go see Barbenheimer. It's the theater we typically go to. I'm looking at the very next showing that they have of Barbie, which is in about an hour from right now. And this is the seating, if you can see that.
Nope. Can't see it. Nope.
Well, okay, so you can see the dark gray. The dark gray dots are the available seats. So all the spaces in between are seats that are sold out.
I just see white.
Oh. I don't know.
There you go.
A little better.
That's okay. A little better.
So yeah, you can see the dark gray is all the seats available. Of course, that black bar at the very top is the front of the screen. So yeah, these seats are still selling out. Now let's go look at what's the next showing of Oppenheimer. The next showing of Oppenheimer is at 10:15 our time.
I would not watch that movie at 10 o'clock at night. Oof.
Oh God, no. And it's in a much smaller theater room, but I mean, almost kind of the same, like at least the same percentage. It's not obviously the same amount of seats because it's a smaller theater, but the same like percentage, I would say, of tickets being sold for those showings on a random Wednesday night.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
So let's attribute some numbers from this last weekend. Obviously, I want to click on each one and kind of talk about where they're at currently as of today, or as of most recent data given. Barbie is currently, Barbie this last weekend made $162 million, a little over $162 million.
Is that total so far?
That's weekend. That's this last weekend.
Okay.
That's final numbers as of Sunday night, essentially.
Do we know what the original projection was?
I cannot remember the original projection. I want to say they were projecting it somewhere around like 110.
Oh yeah, I was thinking. I want to say I thought I heard like anywhere from like 110 to like 120 million, and it did 160.
Yeah, it did 162 million. So
yeah.
it easily passed its expectations.
But so did Oppenheimer.
Yeah, Oppenheimer. I don't remember what the expectations for Oppenheimer was. I imagine
75.
So 75, yeah. So it passed it, not as much as Barbie did, but Oppenheimer did almost $82.5 million in its opening weekend.
And then again, still keeping in mind, because it's like pretty much twice as long as Barbie, and Barbie was taking up more screens, so it had fewer screens, fewer showings. That's still really good for Oppenheimer. That's
huge.
Still phenomenal.
That's actually really huge, especially considering is up against Barbie. You could make the argument that would Barbie have done more if Oppenheimer didn't open? Would Oppenheimer have done more if Barbie didn't open? I think maybe Oppenheimer might have, but then you're still talking about how much did the whole Barbenheimer event influence Oppenheimer's numbers. And I think, honestly, this was the best case scenario for Oppenheimer. I really do. I think without Barbie, Oppenheimer would have done less. And I think it absolutely succeeded based on that fact.
Here's what I'm wanting to know. Lego's bringing up something else too. I think the Aqua song helped keep Barbie relevant. I actually want to know I don't know if there's any way of looking like, say, like at Spotify, like Apple Music, Pandora, if anyone still uses that. I guess I might be old. But is anyone able to see what were the amount of plays that Barbie Girl got over the weekend, or specifically on Thursday of last week? Because how many people were blasting Barbie Girl all day before going in to see that movie? Yeah, Mattel may not have wanted to put that song like right in front of your face for that movie, but I guarantee they got like a huge boost.
And I do think the movie did fine without it. I think for what they were telling, it actually did make sense not to actually really include that song, because that song is kind of, it almost feels kind of counter messaging to what the movie was actually conveying.
I did like that. Like, there was the song that played for the movie. I forgot who did it, but like one of the songs did have the interpolation. It sampled it. It
was Nicki Minaj, I think, who had it.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's look at current. I believe I'm at current, right? Let's see.
Torie, I put it in the car ride with Chris and Robert. Yeah, twice. I think we did it twice in the car. Or no,
we did
the regular version.
The regular version, then I did the epic version that I put into the Barbie Watch intro.
Yeah.
Anyway, domestic gross as of today for Barbie is currently at 214, a little over 214.1 million. And that's as of today for domestic only. If we're looking at worldwide for Barbie, let's talk about worldwide, because that's the number we want to be looking at. Barbie will hit $1 billion.
Easily.
I'm claiming it right now. Barbie is going to hit $1 billion, because worldwide gross as of today, which again is almost a week later from its release on Thursday, is $472.6 million worldwide. That movie is almost $500 million in 1 week. And with very little competition going up against it, other than, say, like Haunted Mansion or maybe Ninja Turtles, not really hitting the same demographic as Barbie, but still might take some of the audience from going and seeing Barbie again had there been nothing else coming out at all. I don't think it's got a lot going against it right now, and I feel very confident in saying that Barbie's going to have some solid plastic doll legs.
Nice.
That's a big number. That's a very big number. I wouldn't be shocked if it hits that billion mark, and I do think it's going to.
Yeah, I do too. Again, it's going to have so much rewatchability, like the other movies I was talking about earlier.
Yeah,
so
it's going to have a big week number 2 worldwide. I think it's going to hit in week number 2. I think it's going to hit maybe 250, 300 million, probably in its second week worldwide, not just domestically, of course. And I think its third week is also I think it's going to drop significantly by its third week, but it's probably going to drop to another like 150 million or something. It's in its total box office run, it will absolutely make over $1 billion.
Yeah.
Let's look at Oppenheimer real quick. Oppenheimer current domestic gross as of today is $107.2 million. And then worldwide, it is sitting at $220.5 million worldwide. So almost nearly about half as much as Barbie is in its first week is where Oppenheimer's sitting. Now, that's also fantastic for that movie. And I don't think Oppenheimer's not going to hit $1 billion. But
I would give it after this weekend. I want to see how it is after the second weekend, and then I could probably better guess if it would or wouldn't.
I think at best worldwide it'll probably hit around the 700 million, a little over 700 million mark.
Still huge.
It's going to be fantastic for that.
What was the budget for it?
That's what I was going to go to next. If we're looking at the budgets for both movies, I put this on Twitter. I put this on Twitter earlier, like a few days ago. Barbie's budget was about 145 for shooting, and then basically about another 100 million for marketing. So Barbie's budget in total is about 245 million. It is almost doubled its budget, including marketing. So Barbie is a complete and wild success. Whereas Oppenheimer's budget is roughly around the 100 million mark, and then I believe it's marketing also. We would say it's somewhere probably a little south of 100 million in marketing as well. So with that being said, Oppenheimer has made its money back worldwide. Has done a little bit more than its money back worldwide. And so Oppenheimer will be viewed as a complete and wild success as well, because by the end of its box office run, again, if my prediction is true that it's going to be somewhere around like the 700 million mark, I would say that it will have doubled, almost tripled, probably actually tripled its budget plus marketing. So both movies, complete and utter wild successes.
So between like, say, Top Gun Maverick and now Barbenheimer, which I feel like these will always, like, those two movies will always be referred to as Barbenheimer as long as we continue to talk about this weekend, which I feel like movie lovers, analysts, critics, everyone will be referring to Barbenheimer weekend, probably at least for the rest of our known existence. Anyone who's alive right now during this weekend will be referring to Barbenheimer for at least their entire lives. Everyone will know what that means. And this weekend will go down in history as a massive success for movies. I think this is showing that the movie theaters are capable of recovering post-pandemic, and that people are wanting to get out there and see movies. It's just, you've got to be really selective, and it's amazing that these movies are drawing people back into the theaters.
That's a point I wanted to get to as well. But real quick, I want to say, I think this is what Dan had. So as far as like I think Nerd was referencing my 700 million guess for Oppenheimer. This makes me feel great about being able to analyze and talk about the box office myself, because I don't actively keep up with Dan's box office show, just because there's so much going on in life. Like, top secret, we don't have a whole lot of room to watch a lot of other people's content all the time, just because there's so much going on. And, content creators, I think, just generally don't have time to actually watch content from other people. Oh, you're responding to Torie. Well, then never mind, Nerd. Thanks.
That's right, Chris. You don't agree with that. You don't even know how a movie's rating system works.
I was really glad. I was really happy that I was in line with freaking Dan Merle just naturally, but never mind. Just kill all the fun for me. Nerd, you could have just went, yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, and just let me have it. But no, you had to just kill my fun right there. Anyway, what point were you talking about that I wanted to get to anyway?
I can't remember. I don't know. It's a massive weekend. So I know I saw like someone was talking about, I saw a post like on Twitter or whatever of like other weekends where like two massively popular movies came out like on the same weekend. I think it was like someone said, for example, I think Ghostbusters and Gremlins came out on the same weekend as well. So stuff like that. I don't know if we're going to see anything like that again.
I would have been fine with that.
That would have been lying. It's called ego stroking.
It's okay.
It's okay to stroke your ego. Okay. I know a lot of people are joking that the next big double feature weekend is going to be what's now being referred to as Saw Patrol.
No.
That Paw Patrol and Saw X are coming out the same weekend.
I won't be seeing either.
Yeah, I was going to say, first of all, Chris, you're not going to go see either one of them. And me, I'm only going to see one of them.
Yeah, no.
And very likely, I'm going to call it now, very likely, I'm actually willing to bet that Saw X, Saw 10, whatever, is probably going to premiere at Fantastic Fest. So if it does, I will be seeing that before it actually gets released. So I will have a spoiler-free review up, along with any other movies that premiere at Fantastic Fest, except maybe The Exorcist. Who knows?
Yeah. Yeah, so I think one of the things that a lot of studios are going to be looking back on this weekend. Oh, yeah, that's right. The saving the movie theaters. I think a big thing that we're going to look at in the historical sense years down the road is when we look back and think about what saved movie theaters, what saved the cinematic experience from say like COVID, from the time from like having basically about a year and a half or so, where movie theaters were effectively shut down for the entire period of time. What actually saved them and what brought everyone back to the theater again? I think we're going to be looking at Top Gun Maverick, and we're going to be looking at Barbenheimer. I think those are going to be the two big things. I know, you could make an argument for Spider-Man No Way Home. That is in there too. But I think when we're looking at like the pillars that really proved that the theatrical experience is not going anywhere anytime soon, the amount of people who saw and loved Top Gun Maverick in the theater, and then everybody who did the double feature of Barbie and Oppenheimer, which, two films that weren't based on any prior films or anything. They weren't sequels. They weren't anything. Obviously, Barbie is based off of a toy brand, a very popular toy brand, but and then Oppenheimer, of course, based off a real person's life. Both of those things are kind of standouts in regards to anything else that generally the large movie-going public would rush to see in the theaters. We're talking about MCU. Like, obviously, there's a built-in audience with the MCU. It's the next MCU project. People are going to go see it. That's the whole thing. But
well, not if the reviews for Secret Invasion last night have anything to do with it.
Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Anyway, yeah, I think this will be one of those things that you look back on later. If you ask Nolan, Tenet brought us back. No, Tenet didn't.
And I don't think Nolan would actually say that.
I think if Nolan's being honest with himself, I think he would say that Oppenheimer did more for bringing people back to the theater than Tenet did. And even then, I would be like, Nolan, I love you, man, but let's be honest, it was Barbie in conjunction with Oppenheimer, not just Oppenheimer.
So speaking of Nolan, kind of like a midstream here plug, we are doing the Patreon trivia. Join at the $5 tier at the patreon.com/cinefanatics to join us for Christopher Nolan trivia here in roughly about an hour. So, the other things I don't know if did you have anything else as far as like the actual box offices?
As far as actual box office goes, no. That was kind of it. Just we're going to be keeping our eye on both of these, and I wouldn't be surprised. Granted, I don't know if anything is really big is really opening this week. I don't think so.
The Haunted Mansion. I don't think Haunted Mansion's going to beat.
That's not even this week. That's later in August.
No, Haunted Mansion is tomorrow.
Did they move it up?
Maybe.
I know we had it slotted in our calendar for the 10th.
Yeah, I think it actually comes out tomorrow. I know the next big one that a lot of people will be talking about will be Ninja Turtles. I don't know exactly how big that will do. I don't have a good gauge on like what the projections are on that. Just because there's so many like weird variables about that movie, like the animation style, while it's weird, it is very, very familiar with connections to like the Spider-Verse movies. So it's that weird kind of animation that may work. But some of the other things that they've changed on that movie, other than like the stuff, like Twitter's going to complain about, like, why is April O'Neil black? Stuff like that they've made changes to. The Ninja Turtles actually being teenagers, which is actually, I would say that's a great idea from Seth Rogen, actually making them teenagers. That has been the one thing that's missing from the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. They've all been like adults or sounded like adults or acted like adults. So I don't know. I don't have a good read on how well that movie's going to actually perform. So otherwise, I don't know what else could, other than just time eventually killing off Barbenheimer in the theater. I don't think there's another movie that's actually going to do anything against them.
Let me double check on that Haunted Mansion, because again, we had it listed as the 10th.
Okay. While you're doing that, I do want to look at so I know a lot of people are talking about potentials for Barbie sequels. I will say real quick, I don't think this Barbie needs a sequel. In fact, I think it would be really weird and awkward to make a sequel to this Barbie movie. This Barbie movie has a very specific theme, subject, and I think it was all completely covered by this Barbie movie. And I think making a sequel to it is just going to be weird and odd.
Yeah.
Like if they want to make a straightforward movie about Barbie in her day-to-day life, like Barbie wakes up and her car's been stolen and she needs to figure out like how to go get her car, and she goes on a road trip through Barbie.
Yeah.
Like that doesn't fit with what the world that this Barbie movie presented to us.
I don't see how they do a continuation of the story. The story was very final and it ended with the first one. I don't see how they could do a sequel to it theoretically. Haunted Mansion is this weekend. I guess they probably did move it up since we put it in the calendar, more than likely. So Haunted Mansion will kind of give it some competition, especially because it got a lot of play in terms of trailers and stuff before movies lately.
It is more family oriented too.
It's going to be more family oriented.
Yeah,
it's going to be kind of stealing a little bit of Barbie's audience there for sure. But I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, say, like, I'm thinking we see a world where Barbie stays at number 1. Haunted Mansion could open at number 2. Oppenheimer is at number 3. And then Mission Impossible bumps back up to number 4 with that Sound of Freedom bumping down to number 5. I could see that being our box office next weekend is my guess.
And then the only other piece of news in relation to this is, of course, Mattel saying that they would like to do a Mattel cinematic universe. I mean,
not a true cinematic universe.
Yeah, it can't be a true cinematic universe. I don't know what's up with, like, just because Marvel has had success on it, everyone and their mom now has to do a cinematic universe, and they all have to be multiverse. Like they just released this trailer for season 2 of Invincible, and apparently it's going to have multiverse as a part of its story. So, like, everyone's got to do multiverse now. Everyone's got to make a cinematic universe.
I can see all the executives sitting in these rooms and making these decisions, and they are flocking to buzzwords, and companies are literally learning the wrong lessons from movies. No, I don't think that Mattel is literally making a cinematic universe and that Barbie is going to cross over with Polly Pocket and just be like hanging out with Polly Pocket and hanging out with American Girl, and then everyone's going to hop in their Hot Wheels car and go for it. I don't think that's going to happen. I think when they use the term cinematic universe, they mean we're just going to make a bunch of movies based off of our brands. They're not going to have interconnectedness, but they are all just going to exist. And I think they are using cinematic universe as a buzzword to get people excited, which I really wish that they wouldn't. I need people to start giving nomenclature to things properly.
Because I'm looking through the list of movies that Mattel wants to make, and these actually wouldn't make sense. Like those of y'all who have seen Transformers Rise of the Beasts, the very end of that movie, I'm not going to spoil it, but it sets up a potential expansion of the idea that Hasbro has. And I feel like that works. That's the idea of what they're doing. I feel like that could play very well with Transformers.
It works for that.
For Mattel, the movies that they have coming out, of course, the other big one that a lot of people are talking about is, I guess Mattel has the rights to Barney the dinosaur, which is, from what I'm reading here, it's saying it's being compared to Spike Jonze's Being John Malkovich, an adaptation.
So we're going inside the brain of Barney.
I guess. I mean, when you say Barney, those aren't the two movies that come to my mind when you're talking about making a Barney movie. But yeah, apparently it's being produced by Daniel Kaluuya. So it's going to be surrealistic, kind of an A24 type feel to it.
You know what?
It's weird.
You know what? Listen. If we are going let's make an existential story out of each one of our brands and products route, where we're not going to give you the traditional black and white, here's a easy to digest movie about Barbie or Hot Wheels or Barney or whatever, but we're going to we're just going to go out in left field on each brand. Sure. Absolutely. Go for it.
And real quick, I do also want to say, like, I know Invincible did the multiverse in the comics. It's just coincidence that they happen to be on the multiverse story for the TV show at this moment while everyone else is doing it.
Yeah.
That's what I was meaning by that.
especially after Everything Everywhere All at Once and Marvel and everyone, DC is kind of doing it now, and like everything is multiverse now.
So other Mattel movies, you got Lily Collins apparently going to star in a movie about Polly Pocket.
Interested.
Written and directed by Girls creator Lena Dunham.
Lost interest.
So I would expect probably a lot of the same kind of themes that we just had in this Barbie movie will probably also be in Polly Pocket, because that's just the kind of creator Lena Dunham can be.
I was there with Greta Gerwig. I'm not there with Lena Dunham.
Yeah, I don't know. That's definitely Polly Pocket was something that I saw the commercials for as a kid back in the 90s. And of course, I'm not the demographic for the toys. I'm probably not going to be the demographic for the movie either, but I would have said the same about Barbie, and I thoroughly enjoyed the Barbie movie.
We'll see, I guess.
There's also like a Hot Toys, which is Hot Wheels. Hot Toys is what I collect. Hot Wheels, which apparently is being produced by J.J. Abrams. So that's going to be, I guess, weird. Vin Diesel's doing a Rock'em Sock'em Robots, which I could have swore was that Real Steel with Hugh Jackman a couple of years ago.
Almost.
An American Girl movie, which if it's anything like the SNL skit, that's going to be scary as hell.
And sad and depressing.
Yeah. I guess they're doing a Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends, a movie about Magic 8 Ball, Uno.
Wait, hold on. Can we talk about an existential drama of Thomas the Tank Engine where they're realistic big trains with human faces? I'm getting like a MODOK thing from Quantum Mania on top of an actual train.
Yeah, basically.
And that terrifies the living frick out of me.
Yeah, because we saw how well that worked in Quantum Mania. Still doesn't look like Corey Stoll.
Thomas the Tank Engine starring Corey Stoll.
But it won't look like him.
Right.
So yeah, I'm just rushing through the rest. Like Magic 8 Ball, Uno, the card game, Wishbone, which I guess was that dog on PBS, I guess. Matchbox, which I'm gonna guess is the competition for Hot Wheels.
But it's the same brand, so it's the same idea. They're
cannibalizing their audience.
I don't understand. How do you do two different movies over die-cast cars?
I don't know. And Viewmaster, which I don't know if anyone nowadays knows what a Viewmaster is. You're probably like one of the last generations of people who may actively know what a Viewmaster is.
I could see how somebody is like, my grandfather has an old Viewmaster toy he had when he was a kid up in his attic. Let's take a look at it, and they get sucked into another world.
Torie, without Googling, do you know what a Viewmaster is? Does anyone who's watching who's younger than 30 know what a Viewmaster is? This I'm down for. If this is what they do, if Magic 8 Ball turns out to be a horror movie and it's like a kind of the whatchamacallit. Damn it. Can't get up. This thing. The Lament configuration. If they do like a Lament configuration kind of storyline with the Magic 8 Ball where it is creepy and it's possessed and it causes things to happen, that would be awesome. I would be down for that movie. That would be great. I don't know if we're gonna get that.
Yeah. I could see a Magic 8 Ball movie working where in that the movie itself is based around the object of the Magic 8 Ball. Like they could literally do it where there's like they have the Magic 8 Ball toy, and for some reason this one was like cursed or something.
Mm-hmm.
And so this specific Magic 8 Ball toy actually does affect reality in some way.
Now,
that could work.
Here's the thing. They're not going to do that. The reason they're not going to do it is because when you make a movie about a cursed Magic 8 Ball, you know what happens in real life? Nobody buys Magic 8 Balls anymore because they're all cursed.
Wrong. Incorrect. If that was true, Ouija boards wouldn't sell as much as they did. So the reason why I think they do that is because, again, Barbie in the Barbie movie was actually a doll. Barbie was a doll in the Barbie movie. So I see Mattel going off of the basis that all of their brands do exist within the confines of these movies that they are making as they actually are, and that they are turning around and doing something existential or something different with the actual toy objects. So
yeah,
Jeremy, I very much could see that.
people were also pitching a Bratz movie. So they actually already made a Bratz movie back in the mid 2000s. That was the first movie that was actively produced by Avi Arad after Avi Arad separated from Marvel, which was right when Kevin Feige started taking over to start the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Yeah, it was like 2007 is when that movie came out.
Something like that, yeah. So, yeah, I don't know if they'll revisit that because that movie just was
weird.
The worst.
Weird choice. Anyway.
Only other thing to really talk about here is the possible delays due to the strikes going on. We are in a position now. I haven't seen really anything concrete. I think it's still rumored that Dune 2 is going to get pushed back. But I'm seeing other news of like some studios are actively pushing their movies just to spread them out. So they have something to release. Like they may have a movie that's already completed and ready to be released, but they're going to push it out to 2024 just so they have something to release in 2024 and make some sort of money. Nothing has been confirmed yet from what I've been able to see, but that is what looks like is in the wind as to what's about to happen. Because again, we're still struggling on trying to recover back to our baseline normal movie-going experience from the pandemic. Now the strikes are going to hurt it even more. And at this rate, we're definitely looking like there's not going to be very many movies to go to a theater to see in 2024. There's not going to be really any new content as far as movies, TV, scripted TV shows because of these strikes.
Let's make sure we're actually wording these things correctly. I know you mean well here. Let's make
sure.
Yeah. Hold on.
I know the point you're making.
Hold on. Yes. Let me talk.
I agree.
We're going to make sure we're wording these things here correctly, in which is it's the studio's inability to come to the negotiating table that is going to keep these movies from happening.
Yeah, I'm not at all saying it's the fault of the people on strike ever. I will nothing I say will ever mean that.
That's not the point. I just really want to make sure that we're driving home that the executives in these movie studios are wrong and stupid.
They're shooting themselves in the foot is what they're doing. They're doing this to themselves. And now they're in a position where they're looking ahead and projecting into the next year, and they're having to scramble and figure out what they're doing. And yeah, just how about pay your people more and then you don't have to worry about it.
It's so dumb. It's like, yeah, hey, you don't have to push any of these movies. You know that you could actually make your quarter profits that you're looking for. You can actually hit those numbers. All you got to do is pay, what is it, less than 2%, 1% more to the writers and the actors than 1% of your like total like income, yearly income. You just got to pay that to the writers and the actors. You also have to negotiate about the whole AI thing. Netflix seems to be doing the exact opposite of that.
Yeah.
And so you just have to do these little things, just these little small things. And you can still make all your movies. You can still make all your money. Because last time I don't know if we talked about this on Tagline. I know I talked about this. I don't think so, because I think we talked about this in the week since the last Tagline, which is it was reported roughly that movie studios are losing. I can't remember what the number was, but it was like
600.
It was like, I think it was like 600,000. It was like $600,000 a week per movie that is currently in production.
Yeah.
So let's do the math here. Let's say that Disney has, 5 movies currently in production that are now all halted because of the studio's inability to meet the writers and actors at the negotiating table. Let's say 5 of those movies were halted. Per week, that's $600,000 per movie. So 5 times 600,000 is
$3 million.
What?
Is that 3 million?
Yeah, it's 3 million. So now that's 3 million per week that they are losing in that instance. Instead, they could have just been producing these movies and making the money on them. But now they are spending 3 million a week on five films being halted in production.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any logical sense. All it is literally people in a boardroom going, nah, we don't want to do it.
Well, I think they're also like at some point you gotta figure the ego's taking over. We don't want to pay these people because they may be looking at it from a if you give a mouse a cookie type of thing. If we pay the writers what they're asking, then the actors are going to know they can ask for more. Then the directors will know they can ask for more. Then everyone else involved in the production and making of movie all know they can ask for more, and that's going to open the floodgates. Which,
yep.
Yes,
Deal with it.
That's the point. What's the stupid news thing that came out that said like Netflix has listed an AI product manager role for $900,000 a year, while 87% of actors earn under $26,000.
Yeah,
I can understand. Like, I understand if this is from like the viewpoint of, for example, I know of a couple of jobs here in Austin for video game companies like EA Sports, I think, is in Austin. I think Blizzard was in Austin here. And a lot of those jobs, especially if those jobs were for video game testing, those jobs paid very little because the benefit of that job is not how much money you're making. It's the fact that you have a job playing video games all day. So that's really where you get the enjoyment of that. And they may be looking at it from like, hey, you are someone who likes to act. So your enjoyment of this job is that you get to do what you love. And therefore, we don't need to pay you so much. You're getting benefits other than money, which is complete bullshit. But
yeah.
But yeah, like I want to see someone tell like Tom Hanks that he's not allowed to make as much as he makes in a movie, or Tom Cruise, or anyone else in Hollywood named Tom.
Yeah,
it's Ben Affleck.
It's ridiculous. I don't understand the logic behind it. There is none. They are purely going off of what you said. It's if you give a mouse a cookie, you'll have to give them a glass of milk. They're purely going off of that viewpoint. Like, well, if we give in to the demands of these low level workers now, then we will have to. They're going to come back again in 2 years, and they're going to want something even more, and we're not going to be. If we keep going, we will be run out of house and home, and then nobody will get to survive. So we're actually thinking about the betterment of everybody by saying, no, you continue working at the level you're at, so we can all continue making movies, and you will continue to have jobs going into the future. Like, they're literally thinking in that regard. And my response to that is, yes, if you give a mouse a cookie, you have to give them a glass of milk. Yes, that does exist. That is true. If you give them, more money now, they may ask for more money down the road later. That's also how inflation works. When things inflate, you give more money to compensate for the fact that the cost of living has risen for everybody. Congratulations, you're running a business. That's how it works. When things get more expensive, you pay the people more. That's how life and business and everything works. So give them the milk with the cookies, you fucking dumbasses.
If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll probably ask for affordable housing. Good, Torie.
He'll ask for healthcare.
Oh, wait, we have to pay for that? That's not free?
If you give a mouse a cookie, he'll ask, can I just survive, please?
Yeah. I don't need a cookie. I'm fine on just a package of ramen noodles for dinner. That'd be great. I'm good to go. Stupid.
So yes, everything's getting delayed, or is potentially going to be getting delayed, because the studios don't realize that they could actually just end this entire thing right now, and it would be perfectly fine, and everyone would be happy.
To end this on a positive note, I know, I think last week we briefly mentioned that Universal Studios did that really stupid, weird thing about trimming the trees outside where the picket lines were standing. Apparently, they're not allowed to do that without a city permit, and so therefore they're being fined because of it. Now, granted, they're not being fined that much. I think it's like a couple of $100, which is chump change to them, but still, the idea that hey, you stupid people. It's just the simple act that they can be punished for them trying to punish the unions is just it's delicious. I love it. So
it would be nicer if the amount was more, but whatever. What are you gonna do about it?
anyways, that is going to do it for tonight for the tagline. It really was just one or two topics, but I mean, these were massively huge topics. I'm okay with a nice full-on discussion about this. There really wasn't any other major movie news going on other than just little more tidbits about the strikes and stuff. I know they announced that the Five Nights at Freddy's movie is going to be PG-13, which I'm kind of disappointed on. I understand why it's PG-13, so it can cater to a wider audience. But as someone who loves good, gory horror movies, and I'm a fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's, even though I really haven't played the games. It's just, I was hoping for more, but I get it.
It makes sense.
It does. It's going to cater to a lot more people, and that's their demographic that they're trying to shoot for, is that teenage demographic. So I get it. Otherwise, that's the news for tonight. So guys, we got about 40 minutes before we will be over on our Discord for the Christopher Nolan trivia that we're going to be doing here. So if you are not on our Patreon, join at the $5 for $5. You can not only join us for the trivia tonight, put your knowledge to the test. You can also join us on Saturday as we do the watch along of Ant-Man. So that will be coming up. So tonight, Christopher Nolan trivia, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. Saturday night, we will be doing the Patreon watch along of Ant-Man at the same time, 8 Pacific, 11 Eastern. Friday night, we will be tier ranking Christopher Nolan movies on the marquee. So that will be this coming Friday, the 28th at 7:30 Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. You can have your say on voting as well in the chat. So watch those Christopher Nolan movies you haven't seen yet. Catch up on them. Come join us Friday and sound off in the chat with your opinions, so you can possibly affect the sway how these movies appear on our board as well.
Also, as well, remember our friend Commentatoring Nerd in the chat has offered for 3 people to receive 3 months of Patreonage. So it's very easy. Just let him know. He said, hey, message me in Discord, and he will cover that for you. So if you guys can't do $5 right now, he will cover that for you, being very generous. So you can join us for trivia tonight. You can join us for trivia tonight if you take up Nerd on his offer. You've got 40 minutes to take Nerd up on his offer, though, to join us for tonight. So
yeah, he said find him on Discord or Twitter or whatever Twitter's being called. So anyways, that should be fun. Anyways, I think that is it for tonight. On anything else we need to plug, Marquee, Patreon, that is all good. So yeah, what did you think of this episode of the Tagline? Let us know down below in the comments if you're on a rewatch of it. Again, thank you for everyone who's watching live, and thank you for rewatching it. If you're rewatching it later, just let us know what you think of it as well. Make sure you follow us at the Cinefanatics on Instagram and whatever that bird app is going to be called. We'll still refer to it as Twitter. And you can follow me personally at Robert Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, Letterboxd, also youtube.com/@RobertAdamsMLP. I'm going to be working on new content over there after this week, so keep an eye out for that. And I might have another place that I might try to push some content out at, so stay tuned. Oh, that was it. You can go.
you can find me at Chris Adams MLP on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd, as well as twitch.tv/ChrisAdamsMLP.
Anyways, that's going to do it for tonight, y'all. Thank you for watching. Nice turnout tonight. Very much appreciate all y'all being here. And yeah, we'll see you here in a minute, hopefully. So yeah.
40 minutes, but yeah.
In about 40 minutes or so. Anyways, good night, y'all. Thank you for watching. Bye.